Thank you, Rabbi. Cantor, don't pass out, but if you do, I got you covered. So part of the reason I was nervous about being president was being up here speaking with you. I hate public speaking. You may have heard about the sympathetic nervous system responses to stress, better known as the fight or flight response. Heart racing, blood pressure elevated, that's me right now. The rabbi had been alluding to General Hospital, my favorite soap opera, back in the day when I had the time and energy to watch TV. Truth be told, I never wanted to be an actress on General Hospital, but rather my dream job was to be the medical writer for the show, staying behind the scenes and making sure that in every scene, every line that was uttered would be medically accurate. Well, my own medical school, residency, and real life got in the way of that dream, so here I am, living this dream. And although I am terrified to be speaking to all of you, I have something to say, and I hope you will all listen. When I envisioned being president, especially at the high holidays, I couldn't wait to greet you at the door and hug or kiss you when you came up to the Ark for your Aliyah. I couldn't wait to hear about the births that occurred since last year. I specifically remember some families at the high holidays last year were expecting grandchildren. Many families were sending kids off to college for the first time or had 2-year-olds starting nursery once again. Some of you unfortunately suffered losses, and I knew I wanted to hug you and hear how you were managing. After all, you were all there for me when I suffered the devastating and sudden loss of my beloved father 9 years ago. You collectively embraced me, and I wanted and looked forward to giving back. But then COVID. We were forced to shut our doors on March 16th, to be exact, a little more than 1 month into my presidency. No one knew what to expect, what had hit us. Would we be shut down for 2 weeks, 1 month, the entire summer? All unknown. No religious school or early childhood education in person. No one coming into the admin offices. Families couldn't have funerals with anyone in attendance to help them mourn. For burials, you were asked to bring your own shovel. Suddenly, Zoom shivas were a thing. All of our scheduled bar and bat mitzvah services and celebrations were postponed. A Brit Milah was performed on Zoom. Pretty weird, but we Jews are nothing if not creative. And here we are now on Kol Nidre, the holiest night of our Jewish calendar, still in the middle of this pandemic. No one could have predicted that. But what's remarkable is that we are here in our synagogue in the middle of the pandemic. I do not want to minimize the effects that coronavirus had and continues to have on our country, our state, Long Island, and our towns. Over 200,000 Americans have lost their lives due to COVID. Over 32,000 New Yorkers died, and over 2,200 deaths in Nassau County have been attributed to COVID-19. Our own synagogue has lost several members directly due to COVID, and many of our members have lost their own family members and friends. No one has been left unscathed. Woodbury Jewish Center was not spared either, and COVID forced us to go virtual. But from the minute we had to shut down in March, when we had to close down in-person education, cancel our beloved Purim Carnival, and halt in-person minyanim, Shabbat, and holiday services, all meetings, and literally close our doors, we sprang into action. We began Zoom programming and services almost immediately, bringing Shabbat and the holidays into the homes of those comfortable enough to Zoom. Although the Purim Carnival was canceled, the rabbi performed a one-man Purim spiel that received over 1,000 views on Facebook Live. For Passover, Rabbi and Cantor recorded services, songs, and a mock seder for us to enjoy from the safety of our own homes. Rabbi and Cantor were deployed to call you, our congregants, to check on you and make sure you knew we were there for you during these terrible times. Bar and bat mitzvah lessons continued virtually with the Cantor. New programs sprung up that I will mention more about tomorrow, and I will thank everyone who worked tirelessly to help us stay connected with you. As the months of quarantining progressed, we got a better handle on how coronavirus was transmitted and how to protect ourselves. When other synagogues around us continued to only live stream or Zoom Shabbat services, we came together on a Shabbat morning, June 20th, for the first time. and with a lot of trepidation, we sat here in this sanctuary and celebrated Shabbat together. I did have to twist some arms to come, but we had exactly 10 participants, a minyan, sitting here 12 feet apart and masked. And I won't lie, when we finally heard our voices live, singing together, and not through a Zoom box, many of us were brought to tears. We were, and still are, one of the few synagogues to reopen for Shabbat services, albeit on a small, public health-informed scale, but because we did so successfully, guests from other synagogues have asked to join in. This had to be the first step as we had our eye on the high holy days. We had to figure out how to safely and traditionally worship Shabbat, and then figure out how to pray safely together for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But we did it, and now we are in our building together and live streaming along with those at home. Again, I have so many people to thank for their extraordinary efforts, and I will do so tomorrow. The next step in our renewal was how to manage a simcha. Would families continue to postpone their b'nai mitzvah? How can a simcha family just have their own immediate family and close friends in attendance to keep within social distancing and maximal capacity guidelines? What about the party? This is the part that gives me the greatest hope, and the reason Woodbury Jewish Center will not just survive, but thrive, l'dor vador, from generation to generation, for our children. If we teach them well, if we instill in them the meaning of being a Jew, we will be okay. So we did, in fact, celebrate the first bar mitzvah under strict pandemic guidelines in July. There would be no kiddush here or a party after, and there were no additional family or friends in attendance. It was just the Fine family, our clergy, and me. Watching the faces of Jesse's parents with so much determination, love, and pride in their eyes as Jesse sang, and the visible tears when their son chanted his Haftorah, that captured the essence of what a bar mitzvah really is. It wasn't about the party. It was about him standing here at the bima, like his siblings, parents, and grandparents did before him, accepting his role as a Jewish adult as his forefathers had done for generations, and only with his immediate family to bear witness. In spite of the hardship and disappointment of not having the bar mitzvah day he had dreamed of, it was a heartfelt and intimate day that Jesse, his family, and I will never forget. This is why WJC needs to be here, to teach our children, to help instill in them the meaning of a Jewish education, of what it means to persevere, to overcome, and to stand tall and proud, l'dor vador, from generation to generation. Despite our efforts to keep us all connected, Woodbury Jewish Center, like all synagogues, nonprofits, and for-profit businesses, large and small, have taken a huge hit financially, secondary to COVID, and the slumping economy around us. Regal caterers canceled or postponed all their parties, and we lost out on their projected income. In the spring, when we had to shut in-person schooling, we offered virtual religious school and early childhood education, but we needed to furlough the assistant teachers and some administrative staff in order to even cover the rest of payroll. And then early childhood families, understandably, requested relief from us. It is very hard to keep school-age children and even adults engaged virtually, but nearly impossible to run a program for 2-, 3-, and 4-year-olds only through Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. Thanks to the extraordinary efforts of our extremely skilled treasurer, Kara Goldstein, and her finance committee of Jeff Steinberg and Rami Abada, in consultation with Stu Mayer and Lance Cuba, we successfully applied for the Payroll Protection Program and as well received a loan modification from our mortgage lender. While these actions are keeping us temporarily afloat with the ongoing pandemic and restrictions on in-person meetings, celebrations, and fundraising events, we are hurting. The catering industry has been hit very hard. They are restricted from holding more than 50-person gatherings without significant penalty financially and medically. So we have to be creative to make up the funds that we normally raise from our traditional gala and from the lack of fundraising events we normally hold year-round. We will plan a virtual gala, we will do smaller events, but that's not enough to sustain us until we can safely and fully open up. And regardless of our finances, we had to start opening up. safely to meet our religious obligations to you, our congregants, and to teach our future, to begin religious school instruction and early childhood education for our littlest ones. So I'm happy to share that since Jesse's inaugural bar mitzvah during COVID, we have held several bar and bat mitzvah services and 2 afrafs, and no one leaves without sheer joy in their hearts. The persistence of the children who have worked so hard for their special day, the resolve of the future groom and bride to have their traditional aliyah, COVID won't stop them, and it won't stop us. These simchas have been our renewal of sorts, reminding us what it means to have a Jewish celebration. It's not about the party, it's about the connection with God, with religion, and with our roots. Speaking of roots, I ask all our founding members to please stand up. Even if you are praying with us from home, please stand up. Look around. These are our founding families. These are our roots. The uncertainty of starting a synagogue with no clergy, no building, no school, that did not deter this group. Your conviction, your determination, your stamina. We owe this building to you, and we will not let COVID or anything else prevent us from soaring to even greater heights. To keep our legacy strong, you have carried us through growing pains, expansions, catering issues, school issues, clergy changes, and yet here we stand. Mark Anish, our first president, said, "If we build it, they will come," and come we did. For Mark, for all the founding members, for all the past presidents and past administrative and executive boards, we carry the synagogue on to the next generation. They have passed the torch to us, to lead, to carry on, l'dor vador. We will not let you down. You can be seated. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Every president asks for money, and every president thanks you for giving, then asks you for more. But I am asking you for even more than that. Please keep this 3-decade dream of a soaring Woodbury Jewish Center alive. COVID has pushed us down, but we are fiercely fighting to come back up. We must not listen to others who say, "I'll take a year off. I can't come into the building anyway. What does Woodbury Jewish Center do for me now?" I say we are here for you in good times and in bad times, to celebrate simchas and to mourn losses. I thank you all who supported us now by renewing your membership. It is you who realize the importance of supporting the Jewish community and supporting Woodbury Jewish Center. In fact, Rabbi Fruit Handler is starting us off. He is making the first live pledge of our Kol Nidre appeal tonight of $5,000. I thank you, Rabbi, Jesse, Liba, and Micah, for sacrificing so much of your income, your time, and your energy for Woodbury Jewish Center. We are truly blessed to have you lead us these last few years and into the very long and fruitful future ahead. And I ask you all, I beg you, if you haven't done so already, please consider giving as generously as the Fruit Handler family has done tonight. My children, Justin and Lisa, newly married and crazy busy in the city, surprised me and gave a beautiful online donation, even before my appeal. And when I cried from joy and a bit of guilt and asked him why he gave so much, Justin answered, "The temple has meant a lot and done a lot for us in the last 6 months, and we appreciate how hard you have worked to make the experience as normal as possible." L'dor vador. My son Ryan said he'd wait to make a donation until he sees how well or not my appeal sounds, but I'm guessing he won't be outdone by his brother and sister-in-law. My son Brandon said, and I quote, "I have no money, but yeah, you can pledge anything on my behalf and then pay for it yourself. So I beg you, l'dor vador, we must be here for the next generation. They want it, they are demanding it, and we must deliver. From nursery school to the chuppah, from Long Island to Florida, from Manhasset and the Hamptons to Woodbury, from young adulthood to retirement and beyond, we are here for you. I beg you for your additional financial support now so we can continue to be here for you for decades to come. Wishing you all a safe and sweet new year. May we all be inscribed for a happy, peaceful, and safe life. Gamar Hatima Tova.
Shkoch, Ellen, beautiful speech. Gmar Chatima Tova. You shouldn't be too thankful for our pledge. I'm taking it out of Micah's allowance.